Jeff, get Miss Mamie.
Oh, I don't have
We'll
one.
get you done. Come on, Miss Mamie. Just fan out in like a circle. Just give
Yeah,
him
if you want to come down here and make sort of a half moon behind the podium, that'd be great.
Yeah, get where you can speak. Yeah, you can stand.
No.
All right, here we go. Hi. Hello, Lafayette. Good to be here. Thank you all for coming out. We got some great announcements today. It's a great day to be in the free state of Florida, as always. I want to recognize some of the folks we have with us. We do have our Department of Economic Opportunity Secretary, Dane Eagle. He's responsible for cutting a lot of checks, and we're going to cut some checks here for you all today, which will be great. Senator Jen Bradley, County Sheriff Brian Lamb, the County Commissioners, Anthony Adams, Lance Lamb, Henry McCrae, Lisa Walker, Ernest Jones, and then Superintendent of Schools, Robert Edwards. And so we're really excited everyone's coming. Before we talk about today's announcement, would just like to say, they just did another report on inflation and what's going on with our economy. And some people are trying to spin it that it went down a little bit over last month. The problem is it came in higher than expected. And if you look at really what went down in April, was some of the energy, and a lot of that is because China was locking their citizens down, so they weren't using as much. What have we seen with energy in May already? It's going back up, and we're not even in summer driving season yet. And so I think it was a really, really destructive report. In Florida, we actually guard people's money well. We don't print money that we don't have. We spend reasonably, and the result is we have the biggest budget surplus we've ever had in the history of the state right now. And so, and we have no income tax. We have the lowest per capita tax burden in the country. And even though we have better roads, services, schools, and universities than a state like New York, which has 3 million fewer people than us, their budget's over twice the size of our budget. Where does all that money go? So we're doing it right. We're protecting taxpayers. People obviously have been able to keep their businesses open, jobs, all that stuff, very important. But if you look in Washington, they've printed trillions of dollars, and they just keep printing this money. What do you think is going to happen happen. Everyone was warning about this when they did it last year, 10 or 12, 15 months ago, and they've continued to do it. And so here's the problem, is that people's wages, real wages, are going down when you have this type of inflation. You could end up getting a 7% pay increase nominally, but if everything costs 8, 9, 10% more, then you've lost ground. And the way they calculate this inflation, a lot of the stuff that really matters has gone up way more than 8%. So you look year over year, fuel is like 45%. You look at some of the gas utilities, that's gone up. You look at groceries and how much it costs now for food. All these things are going up, and these are expenses that people, it's hard not to pay for gas if you got to get to work. It's hard not to put food on. I mean, you need to do all these things. So it's really, I think, having a really negative impact. Now, because of that, and because a lot of the mismanagement, it's very possible that we see Biden plunge this country into a recession. And I hope that's not true. What we've done in Florida, though, is say we can't control what's going on in D.C. All we can control is here. And so we've done really well. A lot of opportunities in this state. Obviously, when these other states were closed and we were open, it made it a lot easier for us to gain ground. So we were doing that, and we were happy to do it. But if there is a downturn, one, I think our economy is just better positioned to weather it than some other states are. But if we have a slowdown in revenue because of some of the things that D.C. is going, because we have such a big surplus, I don't miss a beat on anything the state's doing. We just take some money from the reserve and we just put it into the budget. And so all the stuff that we've been working so hard on, public safety, education, all those things, all that will continue because we've planned ahead and we understand that sometimes these things happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I really do. But I can't think of a stretch where we've had so many misguided policies that have been implemented really across the board. And so we're prepared. I think it's prudent to prepare for things like that. And then if it doesn't happen, you're fine. But if you don't prepare and then something like that happens, then you can be in a difficult situation. So I was disappointed to see that report today. There's really not really an end in sight the way it's going. And I'm very concerned about the energy this summer because the gas, I've not seen it under $4 in Florida for unleaded in a long time. And we actually, and it's even higher than just $4 here, but we are on the lower end of prices nationally because our taxes are lower than some of these other places. There's a lot of other states that have been above $5 a gallon for unleaded for the last however many couple months. California is like $6 something because they tax it so much. And so, this is a huge problem, and I am concerned about what would happen this summer as more people are driving because that's just what happens every summer. We need to start doing more domestic energy production like we were doing prior to this administration. We have Keystone, Anwar, they say that you can now apply for lease on federal lands, but these companies know they're never going to get permitted for it. So why are they going to go through all this? Because they know that really the government doesn't want them to be able to do this. So you end up in a situation where we're basically stepping on our own neck as a country by not being energy independent. You're begging OPEC to lower the price. You're begging Maduro from Venezuela maybe to give us some of his oil. How does it work? Our oil causes global warming, but Maduro's doesn't cause global warming? I mean, how does that make sense to anybody? So the number one thing he could do to help with the inflation is to expand our own energy production. And that would be a huge relief for all. We did a big tax cut last Friday. I signed into law. We don't have an income tax, so we can't cut tax rates, but we try to provide relief. So there's a fuel holiday, there's back to school holidays, there's a tools and handyman type stuff for both for people in business and around your house. We did a 1-year holiday on diapers and baby clothing starting July 1st, which I know, look, we have a 2-year-old at home. That's going to help us. It honestly wasn't my idea. My wife was like, why didn't you do this when the first year you became governor when we had more kids in diapers? But, so I give credit to the legislature on that. We did stuff for home improvements, all this stuff, and we're happy to do that. And we're happy to be able to provide relief for people. But man, you can sit there and do some of this stuff. if you just got serious about the energy, that would be a huge difference. Because if we were serious about energy, you wouldn't have $4.30 a gallon gas. It may have gone up a little bit with general inflation, but we'd probably be like $2.50 a gallon if we were just doing what we could. And so I hope that they'll reverse course on that, but I don't think that they will. The other thing I think that's really significant that's happened over the last couple of weeks is federal government's now created within the Department of Homeland Security a disinformation bureau where the government is going to tell us what is true, and then what we want to say, they're going to say is disinformation. And they're going to try to marginalize people who dissent from their orthodoxy. They are going to try to get people canceled if you dissent from their orthodoxy. And just think how this has played out over the last 2 years. Federal government, CDC, Fauci, whoever would say, if you get COVID, you do not get natural immunity. And we know that was not true then. And I would say, guys like me would say, actually, if you recovered from COVID, you have protection. But they denied the existence of natural immunity, and really to the huge detriment of the credibility of all these government agencies like the CDC. Because like when you're denying things that are scientific facts, that are obvious based on the data, just because it suits your political agenda, people see that, and then they don't trust you in the future. And so they did things like that. When I was saying kids needed to be in school, some of these media outlets were saying that's disinformation, that the kids shouldn't be in school, even though we had seen kids be in school in places like Sweden and other parts of the world, and it was obvious that that was the evidence-based thing to do. Now they say kids need to be in school, but when I was saying that 2 years ago, that was considered disinformation. And so what they're doing is not trying to identify truth. What they are trying to do is elevate their own political narratives. And they're trying, when people speak the truth, because if you are speaking the truth, you don't really care what people say, because folks are going to see it's true. You're only worried about the dissent when you know the emperor has no clothes. And so the narratives that they're trying to sell us are not credible narratives. And so when people like us want to speak out against that, they want to find ways to marginalize. And so people say, and then they put this person in charge of it who is just totally off her rocker. She has engaged in misinformation. She has talked about things like Russia collusion and advocated for coronavirus lockdowns and all these other things. And so if you did a caricature about somebody that you would want to put in there to like scare people into saying this is a bad idea, I couldn't draw up anyone any better. So it's really, really troubling. But here's, I think, what they're going to do with it. They know that they couldn't get away with actually enforcing that against us directly from the government. I mean, it would be unconstitutional flatly, and they would suffer a lot politically from even trying to do it. But what I think they're going to do is they are going to determine what is acceptable, what is, quote, disinformation, and they are going to expect the social media companies to do their dirty work. And so if this bureau identifies something as disinformation, the expectation is Google and Facebook and Twitter, until Musk gets a hold of it, that they're going to have to then go and do it. And first of all, that's wrong. You can't subcontract out to private companies violations of our Constitution. And so in Florida, we're going to make sure that we'll be fighting back against that if they do it. You know, they say these tech companies are private and therefore not subject to First Amendment protections for people. And that isn't even true. And that's debatable. We just had our big tech censorship law. We passed a bill in 2021 to protect Floridians against big tech censorship. Big tech sued. They had the most expensive lawyers on the whole God's green earth came in to sue on this. They got an injunction from a liberal judge, which we knew would happen. We just did the argument last week on appeal in the 11th Circuit. And honestly, the judges understood that what Florida was trying to do. So we don't know how that decision is going to come out, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we were going to get significant portions of that law upheld in court, and then that will really be the start of the states fighting back against some of the stuff that big tech has done. But when you are doing the government's business bidding as a private corporation, then you are subjected to First Amendment protections for people. If Fauci is telling you to censor, or the DHS Disinformation Bureau is telling you to censor, and you are doing it at their behest, then you are not treated as a private company, and you must abide by the First Amendment. And so we're looking at that. We're going to see what they do with this. I mean, if they were smart, they just disband this agency, because it was a terrible idea to begin with. But I do think this is part and parcel of a movement, particularly amongst these folks in Washington, to just try to say there's only one accepted viewpoint. And if you dissent from that viewpoint, you need to be marginalized, deplatformed, or censored. And so our job in Florida is to stand up for folks' right to speak out and to talk about the things that are going wrong, and to poke holes in some of these ridiculous, phony narratives that they're trying to shove down our throats. And so stay tuned on that. We're going to make sure that we're doing a lot. Also, just like to say thank you to everybody here who has prayed for my wife over these last many months. We were able to, she actually came out and was able to give a part of a speech on, I guess it was Monday night. We were down in the Villages. They had this DeSantis Day dinner. So, so I go up to speak, but I'm like, you didn't say which one. Is it me or is it her? Because quite frankly, more people want to hear her than me. And so she was able to come out and offer some thanks to everybody for the prayers. I tell you, when you go through something like this, look, all I'm trying to do is be supportive and be positive. When it's you that it has, it's tough. I mean, it takes a toll mentally, because you just don't know when something like that happens. And I can tell you, when we kind of first got the news, trying to figure out what we were going to do, it was really, really rough for her. And then when we announced it publicly, and we just figured, look, she's a public person. It is private, but at the same time, people just, we just want people to know if she's not out there as much, that's why. Once that happened, everyone started praying for her, and I can tell you, it made a difference. She was so, I think, lifted up by everybody's thoughts and prayers, and that's really never stopped. I mean, people pray for her all the time, and so she's doing really, really well. And I'll tell you, she has really served by coming out publicly. She's served as an inspiration for a lot of other women that are now going through this. And they say, if she went through it and is able to do it, then I know I can do it. And that's the thing. I mean, having been there through this just as a spouse, is, for women out there, you can beat this. I mean, they've got good medicine, and it's not an easy thing. It's not very fun to go through, for sure. But there is absolutely a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think my wife is proof of that. So thank you, guys. So, we are very proud in Florida of our rural communities. I think that we've been able to do an awful lot. Some of it was just we were called upon when I first became governor with Hurricane Michael. We had a lot of rural communities in Northwest Florida. I mean, that thing was a buzzsaw. It's a Category 5 storm. It really was more almost like a tornado, more so than even a typical tropical type system. And it really left a lot of destruction. And so we've worked really hard to help lift those communities up, and we've really just never stopped. And our view is providing the infrastructure that's necessary, particularly for counties that are more fiscally constrained, is something that we want to do. So today we continue along the lines of that mission that we really started from the first day I was as governor. So we're here being able to announce some great stuff for our county here. $7 million are included in the budget. Now, I haven't signed the budget yet. We're going through it. There's a lot of individual things. You got to vet. They want to give $500,000 to some group. I need to figure out whether that's something that's right. So we have to do a lot of research on all the stuff that we're doing. But there's a lot of stuff in there for Lafayette County. And so here are the things that I can announce today we have approved in the budget and will be coming right here. $500,000 for the Sheriff's Office communications radios to be updated. Almost $300,000 for pay raises for our sheriff's deputies right here in Lafayette County. And that's in addition to, this current year budget, because we did the budget in 2020, the spring of 2021, And you saw a lot of communities around the country slashing funding for law enforcement and attacking law enforcement. So we said, you know what, while they're defunding law enforcement, we're going to fund and then some. So this current year, all deputies, municipal, county, and state sworn law enforcement officers got a $1,000 bonus from the state of Florida. And we're doing it in this next budget. That is in there again. So for the second year in a row, we are going to be able to deliver $1,000 bonuses for not just our law enforcement, but also our firefighters. And so we thank them for their service. We have another $4.5 million for road resurfacing in the county. We have another $400,000 for security for the public school system here. We got almost $750,000 for maintenance and repairs at 3 state parks in this area. And so we think that this will have big positive impacts on the safety of our residents here and also the visitors that come. So that's one announcement. The other announcement is I am announcing my commitment to approve $30 million in the budget for the Rural Infrastructure Fund for the state of Florida. So the Department of Economic Opportunity administers this. It provides resources to support rural communities by improving infrastructure and by expanding the local workforce. You look, these are great communities where people can do more manufacturing, all this great stuff. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part at the state level to help with that. Additionally, I'm announcing that we're approving over $400 million for the Broadband Opportunity Program. So this new program will support underserved communities with a focus on connectivity for rural communities to build broadband infrastructure for their residents. And so we think that this will support not only workforce in the economy, but also education. And so that will be parceled out amongst a number of areas, rural communities. And so it's not limited to this county, of course, but it'll be throughout the state. It's interesting, when you look at some of the broadband places that there's gaps, there's actually some counties, that are pretty big landmass that have a lot of population, but they don't have it necessarily evenly divided around. So there'll be parts of some of our larger counties that will also benefit from this. So we're really excited about it. I think we've probably done more as governor to make sure that we were paying attention to rural Florida, more than any other governor. We're really proud of that, and we're proud of the folks that live in all these great communities. And so we're going to hear from some other folks coming up here in just a minute. So we're going to start with the sheriff. Then we're going to have Senator Jen Bradley. Did Shoaf come? Is he here? Okay. Representative Jason Shoaf was going to get a chance to say something, but he didn't ever make it. And then we'll have Dane Eagle come, and we'll be able to do that. All right, so Sheriff, come on up.
Thank you. Just thank you, Governor. Isn't it great to have a governor that loves Lafayette County like we love Lafayette County? A governor that cares about our school system, which is our future of with the kids and their education. It's just great. I'm almost speechless when he went to naming out the amount of funding that he was assisting us, because a lot of people don't understand. It's hard for us to generate the amount of revenue that we have to use, and whether it's our school system or the county or our law enforcement, first responders. But when you have a governor that truly cares, even about Lafayette County, which we're one of the smallest in the state, that's great. And today he shows how much he cares about us and how much he loves us. And we have a governor who funds law enforcement, defunding, We have a governor who recognizes that law enforcement, public safety is important, and we have to have safe communities to have safe living and safe businesses. And so when we have a governor that does what he's done for us in this short amount of time, I greatly appreciate it. And I know all y'all do too. So again, Governor, thank you. We greatly appreciate it. And by your contributions, you're going to make our county a safer place to live and work. And just, it's amazing. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, we have State Senator Jen Bradley.
Hey. Good morning. Isn't it wonderful to have America's governor in God's country? That's right. Florida has never had a governor that has a heart for rural Florida like Governor DeSantis. He doesn't just talk about it, he shows up in every rural county. And the reason these resources are here for us to be able to appropriate and for the governor to be able to appropriate is because of the policies and the leadership of Governor DeSantis since he took office. Keeping Florida open, getting our economy going. Our economy is the envy of the nation. And it's because of the leadership of Governor DeSantis and having Florida free. And to have those funds to support public education, law enforcement, our beautiful natural resources, that's what's important to us here in rural Florida. I couldn't be prouder to represent you, and I couldn't be prouder of our governor.
How many counties do you have in your district?
11.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, like a lot. Like we do all our rural, and Jen is there. So it's great, though. I mean, these are great communities. Okay, Dane Eagle.
Yes, sir. I love that one.
Well, thanks to the governor, and despite the inflation going at the federal level, Florida's economy has been leading the nation. We are outpacing in job growth, outpacing in workforce. We have more jobs and workers here than we did pre-pandemic. That's amazing. We're consistently below the national average in unemployment. But even while we continue to lead the nation in economic growth, the governor's charged his entire administration with not leaving the rural communities behind. Consistently said, do not forget them. What else can we do? And by name, he charged us at DEO with helping out Lafayette County. So our team's been talking with the county leaders, personally talked with Sheriff Lamb. He expressed how important some of the budget items were, which is why the governor is so happy to announce those today. And then even more importantly, some of the things we can do in the future. Broadband, $400 million that the governor just committed to. That is incredible. And we're going to be unleashing that across the state. I read a statistic recently that Lafayette County has 4% of households have adequate internet. I don't know if that's true, but who here thinks they should have better internet? Okay, so that's telling. I encourage all of you today, when you get home or from your cell phones or at work, go to floridajobs.org/broadband. You can do a speed test. We're not tracking you. Zuckerberg's not going to know about it. But that's going to allow us to help pinpoint where we can do better and where we can unleash some of these grants. And then $30 million for Rural Infrastructure Fund. Historically, that's been $5 million a year. But the governor challenged the legislature, and I know Senator Bradley was eager to meet that challenge and try to do better. $30 million this year. So those are grants we can work on, and we'll continue to work with your county to do so. Thank you, Governor DeSantis.
All right. Good deal. You know, I also forgot to mention, we've done more in Florida to ensure good, free, strong elections with a lot of integrity measures to make sure that our votes are counted, that everything is fair. And so if you look at what we've done on election integrity, we've done more than anybody in the country. We did in Florida now, if you ballot harvest, that's a third-degree felony in the state of Florida. We're not going to allow ballot harvesting. We're going to make sure, yes, if you go in to vote, voter ID, then if you request an absentee ballot, you also need to do ID so that we make sure that these mail ballots are going to who requested them. And there's no ability in Florida now to just send mail ballots to whoever you want to, like they do in California. They'll send them in California. People haven't lived there for 10 years, and they'll get a mail ballot, halfway across the country. That is not acceptable. So we don't do that in the state of Florida. We also and maybe this is one of the most important things we've done, we banned Zuckerbucks in Florida. And so Zuckerberg from Facebook, he did $420 million into these nonprofit groups, and the nonprofits would go into key areas in terms of the election, and they would basically commandeer the elections office. They would give millions of dollars, they'd bring in their people, they would do big ballot harvesting and mail ballot operations, and that's wrong to have a private tech mogul basically commandeer the actual machinery of the elections. And so he said now he's not going to do this in 2022 because he's getting a lot of scrutiny on it. But from Florida's perspective, it doesn't matter what he wants to do. He is not allowed to do that in Florida, and there's not going to be any Zuckerbucks. We also believe, you go in to vote, it's a secret ballot, obviously go in person. We do have absentee requests. You can request the ballot. You can, of course, mail that in. But if you want to hand deliver it, we're not going to just have these drop boxes in the middle of a street corner that nobody's watching and someone could dump ballots. So what you're going to do, you can go into the election sites during the voting hours and you can hand it in. And so there's no more of these drop boxes permitted in the state of Florida. And it's not good policy to have that, and we've seen it, I think, be abused in other states. And then to be able to ensure that we're following the law and enforcing the law, we created this year first ever election integrity unit in state government. And so their sole function is to investigate and prosecute violations of election law. And so we are going to be in really good shape. Your vote is absolutely going to count. Everyone should feel confident of that. But we had some of these provisions were challenged in court, in district court last year, but it went into this year. And some of them were minor provisions, but the Dropbox one and a couple others, you had this judge say that it was unconstitutional or violated the law or all this stuff. And the media made such a big deal about it. They were so happy, to see that the judge, and the judge rules against us every time. We know how this works. And so they were so happy about that. And then what happened? You just had the appeals court 3-0 say, actually, Florida can go ahead with these provisions in the law. You didn't hear the media talk about that one as much, but I can tell you we knew that decision wouldn't stand. We've already got the initial decision, but I think we'll even get more, even better decisions as this goes on in the future. But for 2022, all the election integrity that we have done in the state of Florida in law is implemented and will be a part of what the elections look like. And so that's a really, really good thing. And we've been able to get beyond, some of the stuff where some of these guys are just activists, where they're going to rule for political reasons, and they have an ulterior agenda. So that's why it's important you have good people on these appeals courts who can exercise some adult supervision. I think that's what's happened here, and we're happy about that. So, okay, well, good. Can I do anything else for anybody? What else do you need? Yes.
Anything for elder care?
Yeah, well, I think we're actually doing a lot in the overall budget, which will affect here and elsewhere. One of the things we're doing is, you have folks that are tending to elderly, and there's a massive shortage of just getting enough people to be able to do. And this is across a variety of different things, nursing homes, other stuff. So we've had huge increases in the ability to pay the people who are going in and doing these positions. That's going to be able to retain more people, and it's going to be able to help recruit more people. And so we put a lot of money into that. And you look at some of the stuff with some of the Medicaid rates that we increase to be able to address some of these issues. We've also put a lot of money generally, and we'll make some announcements specifically about some of the stuff we're doing about being able to produce more nurses in the state of Florida. There's been a massive nursing shortage. Now, part of it, what happened with COVID was you had these areas would say, okay, we're going to have a surge in hospital, and so they would want to hire additional nurses. And so these nurses could make way more as a contract nurse than actually working for the hospital. So you would have nurses in communities really throughout the country who were working for a hospital. They would get hired by the contractor for much more, and then they would still even work at the same hospital just for a lot. So, I mean, you obviously people are going to do that. But what happened is they can also get sent to different places. And so that's where a lot of folks have wanted to gravitate towards. So it's been harder for some of the hospitals to make sure that they have who they want. So what we're doing is, we're expanding nursing programs at our state colleges. And what we're trying to do with workforce is we want to be able to put people in positions where they go through a program, they get skills, they're going to be able to succeed. And right now, if you go through and you're qualified as a nurse, you will absolutely have a job. There's no question about that. And it's important. My mother was a nurse for over 40 years. And so it's just something that we want to make sure we're doing well. But it absolutely affects patient care. Certainly affects our elderly population. And so you're going to see probably the biggest expansion of efforts to train and produce more nurses than we've ever had in the state of Florida. And it also kind of raises a larger issue about what is the education system all about. And yes, part of the school system is to be able to make kids prepared so if they want to go to university and do well. We're proud of our universities that we don't let them raise tuition. And so you go as a Florida resident, it's actually affordable. You will not need to go $100,000 in debt. In fact, with Bright Futures, you probably wouldn't need to go in debt at all in most situations. So that's very important because you get a degree, but if you're 120, 130,000 in debt, especially if the degree's in like zombie studies, well, then what are you going to do? You're going to end up in a job you could have had out of high school. And so that's not what we want. Now, look, if you go $100,000 in debt and you end up with a degree in engineering from MIT or something, you're probably going to be okay. Okay, you're going to be in very high demand. So I'm not in any way saying don't do some of even the pricier colleges, but just understand that right now, a 4-year brick and ivy university is not the only way you can be successful, and it's not even the best way for many people. And so we're working to give folks opportunities to get concrete skills in the trades and in other types of career vocations where they will make good money right off the bat. I mean, we've expanded the ability to produce more truck drivers in Florida. Walmart will pay you $110,000 a year to start as a truck driver. You look now, there's companies in Florida will pay you a $15,000 signing bonus to start as a truck driver. You look what they're paying for people who have certifications in electric or HVAC or all these other things, and you are making good money without being in debt. And the thing is, a lot of these young people, as they gain a little experience, they can start their own companies in a lot of these communities. When a community like a state like Florida is growing, there's going to be a need for more of all these services, especially, I think back like the World War II generation, they would fix everything around their houses. If something happened, now the younger generation doesn't necessarily do that. That's just not what they've been taught to do. So if they have problem with AC, if they have to call people in to be able to do it. So there's a huge demand for these types of services. So we just want to make sure that we're letting kids know that these are viable options. You're not any worse than anyone because you didn't go to a 4-year university. And in fact, if someone's going to a 4-year university and racks up a bunch of debt for a worthless degree, you're probably smarter that you chose a different path. And so we want people to be prepared to do what they follow their dreams. But I felt like when I was a kid growing up, people would really say, college is the only way to succeed. And that was really drilled in, I think, to my generation and some of the people that are younger than me. And I think the result has been not great in terms of the amount of student debt that's out there and the amount of number of college graduates who are underemployed in our economy from what a college degree was supposed to do. So we had a goal when I became governor, make Florida #1 for workforce education. We were in the bottom half of states. I don't know where we are now, but we've gone up a lot in the three plus years I've been governor, and we're well on our way to doing that. Not only does it give students more opportunities to be able to have good careers, it helps us with business development. Because if I have someone that wants to bring production to Florida and they know that we're taking these skills seriously, well, they know they're going to have a pool of people that are going to be able to fill these spots. And that's a huge, huge thing. And so the number of business people that I've talked to who are in manufacturing and logistics and some of these really key industries, when I start talking about that, they say, no one else is doing that. in the country, what Florida's doing. More people need to know about it, but we really support that, and I think that's going to those investments will pay for themselves over and over again, over the many years. So, okay, well, it's been great to be here. I thank you all, and we'll see you back soon. Okay.
And boy, if you thought that was good, just wait. We got even more. We got a bonus for you guys today. But just wanted to make the announcement. I prayed about it, and decided to pull the trigger and set up a profile over at Truth Social. Florida Maquis is now on Truth Social because with the rollout of the 2000 Donkeys movie, some things were revealed in that this channel said way back in that week of November in 2020. And I was said, oh no, you're crazy, Maquis. They're not doing it that way. It's all magical Dominion thumb drives and all this crap. I said, guys, and some of you might remember, guys and gals, it's people. They have to have the people. If they don't have the people, it doesn't get done. See, they didn't have the people in Ohio. They didn't have the people in Florida. But that's all I can really say on here, I should say, about this. But if you would like to see 3 of my videos, 3 of them that have actually beaten the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, that are still on YouTube, go over to Truth Social, find my profile, and the links to those 3 videos are still here on YouTube. And you can see where I detail this. So, Kay Fogarty, Governor DeSantis, and Senator Diaz are Florida's finest leaders. Bet you're correct. Next, Florida. I think you mean Nunez. Do you mean Jeanette Nunez, Lieutenant Governor? I'm assuming that. Manny Diaz is actually our education commissioner. That was from our last live. So, but guys, real quick, just to give everybody a idea of where he was just now. This is Lafayette County up here. If you think of Florida as a gun, this is the trigger area. This is true rural Florida. Right up here. You got Panama City and Pensacola here. And then you've got, of course, Clearwater and Tampa. This area right here, you get north of Crystal River. This is super rural out here. And this is where he was. He was in Lafayette County. And that sheriff was awesome. That guy is from Louisiana. That was a Cajun sheriff if I ever heard one. But guys, hang on to your hats. If you thought that speech was good by the governor, wait until you hear his wife speak. If the left thinks that they have had a hard time so far dealing with Florida, dealing with the conservatives in Florida, oh, you see, she's had to deal with 3 kids and cancer. But she's beating the cancer and the kids are getting older. When she gets out on the campaign trail and she starts to speak on behalf of the governor, it's going to make them think that they were dealing with the B team. Just wait. I got a little 2-minute blurb here for you. Let me get it set up.
I am certain that Florida, of all 50 states, we are fortunate to have the best first lady in all 50 states. And they said it was a DeSantis Day dinner, and I didn't know if they meant me or her, so I figured I would bring her along with me. So let me invite the First Lady of Florida.
Governor, I don't know if this sounds very First Lady-like, but
Damn, it feels good to be here. Let me say this. No matter what you're going through in life, no matter how hard things seem like they are, no matter how hard it feels like you have to pick yourself off the ground or you feel like your back is against the wall, fight. Fight like hell. Never ever give up. Never ever back down. I am a testament that God is great and God is good. And hope is alive. I'll say this in closing, something that my dad says to me all the time, ever since I was very little. He would call me, he would say on the phone, he'd say, Casey, have faith and don't let the bastards win. God bless you. God bless you for your prayers. God bless our great governor of Florida. God bless Florida and God bless the United States of America. Well, I told you she's number 1 out of 50.
Just amazing. Just amazing. Just wait. Just wait until she gets on the campaign trail. We have talked at length about Ashley Moody, Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez, our Secretary of State, Laurel M. Lee, but believe me, when the First Lady hits the campaign trail full time, she is going to crush the life out of the left. They won't even be able to try to get her in a gotcha question. It's really funny. I brought up these images because it shows such a great contrast. When you hear the governor speak, when you hear the First Lady speak, and then you see this from the other side. I've shown this before. This is, of course, the infamous tank top pic from Nikki Fried. See, she tried this a long time ago. Well, guess what? She's doubling down, and this is something else I predicted too. I said, she's going to try something. She's going to try to use trashy sexuality to try to win votes. 1 second. Let's see if I can get caught up here. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I want you guys to look at something that she put out recently. She put out this tweet that said, women are going to save Florida. Women are going to save Florida. She's absolutely right. These four. But check this out. This is her latest 8-second blurb about being the first female governor of Florida. Now, I want you guys to look at this and tell me what you think.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let me pause it. Okay, so 8 seconds. This is her lead-in for her TikTok. And she's got her name written in hot and bubblegum pink over her boobs in a form-fitting tight top. See, I called this a long time ago. It's unbelievable how desperate they're getting. But the contrast needs to be shown between what you just heard from Casey DeSantis, how God is great, and how he answers prayers, and to hear her speak in such glowing terms of the future with hope for our country, meaning the new sovereign free Republic of Florida. And then you see this as the other side. The contrast could not be better. It could not be more stark. Seriously. This is, the epitome of what they have left. This is how much they have been destroyed. It's usually the women on the left that are decrying the sexualization of women. And what does she do? She throws on this skin-tight thing over her fake you-know-whats, and then puts her name in bubblegum pink outlined with hot pink right over her chest to have you join her on TikTok. It's just, I'm embarrassed for her at this point. But when she says women are going to say Florida, I replied to her. I said, yep, here they are. Laurel M. Lee, Ashley Moody, Jeanette Nunez, and First Lady Casey DeSantis, amongst others. It is fantastic, and it's something the left cannot deal with when you show contrast. A lot of people think I'm, somehow secretly pro-Biden or pro-socialist or all this. His election, I said he was going to be like lemon sorbet. And I stick by this. I called him Lemon Biden. Yes, exactly right, Janine. Somebody's missing their trailer trash. Exactly right. These women are going to absolutely crush Freed. And this is the thing about anybody worried about cheating, by the way. The woman in the upper left here, let me see if I get a better picture. Here we go. Woman in the upper left, this is our Secretary of State, Laurel M. Lee. Anything suspicious, anything weird, anything that doesn't seem right, anything out of place, she'll just toss those votes. She'll just toss them. And if there are people responsible for doing anything weird or illegal, which is a felony now, it's not just a misdemeanor anymore, our Attorney General, Ashley Moody, lower left, will cuff them and stuff them in large groups. That's the one thing about Florida, and a lot of you can attest to this. In Florida, you get crossways with the law down here. If they even got a sneaking suspicion you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing, they'll just cuff you and stuff you. And that'll be the end of it. So we're not worried about it. We're absolutely not worried about it. And believe me, we heard it was not yesterday, I believe, but the day before, where we did the live from Freedom Tower in Miami, where the lieutenant governor, a child of Cuban refugees, spoke eloquently and quoted Reagan off the top of her head. That's our lieutenant governor, our number 2 in charge. And believe me, guys, wait. Just wait until Casey DeSantis gets on the campaign trail. If you think the governor's eloquent, if you think he has power and authority when he speaks, I'm going to go find it. It was about a year ago. Some of you might remember this. The governor and his wife were at a press it was a press conference, and it was about an education initiative that she was promoting, and she was speaking, and it didn't have anything to do with anything that was going on the national stage. But some mealy-mouthed reporter, when she was at the mic, tried to corner her on something that was clearly an issue for the governor. And she toasted this guy. Everybody in the room was stunned. She was smart enough and read in well enough on what was going on in the governor's mansion. She answered the question. Now, he came up behind her and took over the mic because he realized the game that was going to get played, they were going to try to trap her. And she crushed him. And she didn't even want to leave the mic. Truly. So believe me, guys, when she hits that campaign trail and she starts calling these people out, especially on abortion, especially on this whole men are women, women are men, we can be whatever we want to identify bullshit. Oh, believe me, it is going to get ugly. See, he can't be mean. He has to maintain, his military bearing, so to speak. She can pull the gloves off and she can go at him with the best of them. She was actually, some of you might remember this, she was a TV personality up in Jacksonville. She knows how to deal with the cameras. She knows how to deal with the lights, how to deal with the pressure. She had her own weekend TV series on WJXT, Casey Black. So they're not going to get her off her game, so to speak. So anyway, join us, please, over at Truth Social. Would love to have you over there. And believe me, guys, I'm not making this up. There are still 3 videos on YouTube that allege everything 2,000 Mules alleged. Let me say this again. 3 of my videos, they took a lot of the election stuff down and demonetized it, but 3 of my videos ran the gauntlet and made it through the algorithm, and they allege everything that was revealed in 2,000 Mules. And the videos are still there. I put the links up over at Truth Social. So if you go find Florida Maquis, just like it is here, FLORIDA MAQUIS. There's no R in the second word. MAQUIS, Florida Maquis, over at Truth Social. You'll find those links. One of those links has 76,000 views, which in the current climate represents almost a week's worth of work here. I got it in one video. There were 3 of them, though, and between them about 150,000 views. And it was people on the right were telling me that, no, Maquis, it was magical Dominion thumb drive machines programming, and they just automatically... And I said, no, it's not that. It's people. They have an army of people doing this. Oh, no way, Maquis. There's no way they have that many people. It was all automatic. I'm like, no, it's people. And now it's been revealed. Now they have the smoking gun. And you go watch, I don't know if many of you have seen it or not seen the Dinesh D'Souza thing. But this is exactly what they reveal with phone records, with cameras. They prove all this, and they have the receipts. Everything that we revealed here was true. So, anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I very much appreciate you guys hanging out at the lives. It's kind of hard. It actually gets me a little bit choked up to hear the First Lady speak, to hear the governor speak, to hear people from rural Florida speak, because it's the first time in my lifetime, it's truly, and in many people's lifetime, where, and it's kind of a weird feeling to actually believe in somebody in government. And believe me, I've looked for a way to catch the governor. For a long time I did. I thought it was too good to be true. But he is truly an honest and decent, forthright Christian man that has been lifted up. He and his wife both, as a standard against all of this. He is then believe. This was my job in the military. I've said this before. Thank you, by the way, Dub, for the $5. I appreciate it. This was my job in the military. I was not a door kicker. I was not a sniper. I was not a super soldier. I didn't fly jet planes. My job was to figure out if people are lying or not. That was my job. That's what they trained me to do. Go in, ask questions. Is it the truth? Is it not? That was my job. And believe me, I've listened to Governor DeSantis for hours and hours and hours and hours, looking to see if there was any crack in the armor. I don't see it. I don't see it. He believes. He really believes in everything he's saying. He's not just a politician in it for the money. He's not. He truly isn't, because there's a lot of folks like that here in Florida too that are a lot older than me that are really good at sniffing out the bullshit. It's one thing that older Floridians and rural Floridians are really good at. Really good at sniffing out bullshit. And if there was an ounce of that, of guile in the governor, I've not heard it. I've just not heard it. He has been consistent, steady Eddie, all the way back from when, if you read his book, all the way back in 2011, he wrote a book. And the things he wrote in that book back in 2011 are the things that he's talking about now. Hold on a second. I just got to get rid of somebody here who's trying to hijack the conversation. Anyway, but I'll leave it there. I'll let you guys go have your day. Record heat forecasted for the state of Florida and the South. So make sure you guys have your water. Make sure you guys are all stocked up, because you just never know. How old is the governor? The governor is in his early 40s. I believe he is about, I turned 52 this year. I believe he's 43, 45, that range, something like that. So, he's old enough to be mature enough to know what he has to do. But as far as, for having kids that age, he's probably a little bit old as far as my parents were way younger when we were the age of his kids. Of course, that's a very different time. So, but now that the kids are getting a bit older, and I think they have gotten Casey through the cancer scare, I tell you what, it's going to be on. It is absolutely going to be on. And like I said in the comment section, I said right now it's 11 o'clock in the morning. The left is still sleeping. That's how depressed they are right now. They don't even try to protest. They don't even send the reporters with the gotcha questions anymore. That's how thank you, Marianne, 43, born in Jacksonville. That's how much they've given up. They've even announced in national magazines they're pulling out all of their on-the-ground organizing in Florida. They just don't think they can win. Imagine that. The left is announced. Even Nikki Fried has come out and said, I know things look really bad right now, and it's going to take a long time. And I mean, think about that. Yeah, they're exactly right, Dub. They're popping their benzodiazepines. You're absolutely right. They just don't want to have anything to do with life because they are just getting torched down here. Because, and take it for what it's worth. I know I'm kind of rambling here. There comes a time where you have to admit it's a fight. It's no longer two people trying to find middle ground. It's no longer two groups of people trying to find middle ground. It's a fight. It's a war between two cultures. It's a war between two ideologies. And when it's war, you fight to win. When it's war, you fight to win. And that means taking off the gloves and doing what's necessary. And Metanoia has been praying for the Lord to bring down these demonic agendas. He's going to stand up people. And he's going to stand up individuals, and he's going to put it to task to them to go, because that's what he did in the Bible. God didn't just swoop down some magical sword out of heaven and just, get evil out of people's way. He stood people up. He stood people up to combat it and to go fight against it. And that's what we're commanded to do. Wherever we see it, that's why I do these lives. Wherever we see it, wherever we have the opportunity to put it down, and to show the contrast, so to speak, like we just did with the governor and everything he talked about Biden doing and everything the left is trying to do every time we have a chance to put these people under the knee, so to speak, or under the boot, we do it. And you don't feel sorry for them. You don't fall for this, oh, let's all just be together again crap. I'll say this, and the governor's never said it, but he's alluded to it. What fellowship hath the children of light with the children of darkness? None. You have no fellowship with them. They want to say, oh, we're all Americans. Oh, we're all American. No. Nope. We all happen to live in a hemisphere that happens to refer to itself as America. North America, South America, Central America, Latin America. But as far as having fellowship with the evil ones, no way. Absolutely not. Thank you, Yahoo Conan Bell, for the $5. I very much appreciate it. More than you guys know. These days, it's been really rough, this war with YouTube. That they continually do everything they can to suppress my videos, to destroy the view rates. I was looking back at the videos that I referred to earlier. The ones that ran the gauntlet from way back in November of 2020. And it wasn't uncommon at that time for me to have a video to get 25 or 30 or 40,000 views. Now, that would take 3-4 days of videos, doing 2 videos a day to get those kind of numbers. I have one video that got 75,000 views. That's almost a week. That's how different it is just in 18 months. That's how much they have put their thumbs on the cheat button. So, anyway, you guys can intervene. You guys can make a difference. $1, $2, $3, $4. In large groups like I have here, 130,000 subscribers, it doesn't take very many. It doesn't take very many to step up and just make that difference so that I can continue. But we're going to continue in a much more detailed way at Patreon and at Truth Social. I'm just going to lay it out there and say this is the case because I said it before. I said it was people. You have to have people. It can't just be thumb drives. It's not magical machines. You have to have people. And this is what Dinesh D'Souza revealed. They had people. They had 2,000 mules. So I'll leave it there. I've been watching over the last hour. Truth Social has been sending me notifications. Looks like more of you are showing up over there. So anyway, God bless. Thank you again. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.